still. I don't want them to gain another yard. You blitz all night!
If that doesn't get you fired up on a Friday, I don't know what does. And again, this is Tim of the Online Big Blue, bringing you the best of New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. I gotta address someone that said I'm a long talker. I'm going to talk like this for the rest of the show just because of you. I want to talk about the Wink system. I want to talk about how Wink is going to fit in or how the players may fit into the system itself. And I want to talk about some misconceptions about Wink's system, Wink Martindale system as well. I also want to talk about giant content creators. That's always a fun topic. This time I'm going to be the voice of reason. Yeah, you better stay. You better stick around for that one. Want to talk about old Wink Martindale? Warning, warning! It's the Wink attack. The Wink attack is coming to New York. It's not coming to New York. It's already here in New York, and we're all excited about it because you know what? He brings a lot of excitement. He brings a lot of blitzes. He brings a lot of panache and aggressiveness that we probably haven't seen in a long time. We probably haven't seen that in, I don't know how long, but we haven't seen that in a while. And we got to be excited about that. Wink, of course, runs what they would refer to, I would say, more as a base 3-4. He's not going to be he's not going to be used as multiple formations that his predecessor did here in New York. I think he's going to stick with more of a traditional 3-4 style defense, which is going to be the aggressive attacking style defense. And this is also a guy whose defense is ranked second, third, and second in the NFL going back to 18, 19, and 2020. So it's a guy that had some success. 2021 was not a great season for the Winker. The Winker. I'm not going to call him the Winker. Yeah, it wasn't a great season for Wink. But you know what? You always have those down years. You always have that slippage a little bit. Now, if you look at what Wink is going to do, he is going to, like I said, he's going to run that base 3-4. He's going to show the Giant fans something that we haven't probably seen, a good base. I don't know about good yet because we're going to talk about the personnel, but he's going to hopefully have a good base 3-4 defense like we had in the 80s, like we had in 86. It's going to be an aggressive style defense. He is a guy that is very creative with his blitz packages and schemes. If you would go back and look at the Baltimore Ravens teams going back to 2021 all the way back to 19, you would notice that if you take a look statistically, he doesn't really have a dominant end. He doesn't have a guy with 15 sacks. He doesn't have that. He has a multitude of guys that have 1.5 sacks, 2.5 sacks, 8 sacks. It's just one of those things that he creates mismatches. He creates the ability for someone to get after the quarterback. If you take a look at his 2020 team, which was, of course, they had 11-5 record. You take a look at statistically, you didn't have a big sack guy. You had Juden at 6, you had Campbell at 4, you had Queen at 3, you had Ward at 3, you had Ngagwe at 3, you had 2.5 from Humphreys, 2.5, and so on, so on, so on. You had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys who also had 1.5 sacks or a sack, and for a total of 39 sacks. So if you take a look at it, how many guys had a sack? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 guys. 16 guys had sacks that year. And some would say that was a down year. I mean, it was a good year. It was not a bad year, but some would say it was a down year from his defense over in 19. And his 19 defense was third in total points allowed, fourth in yards, seventh in turnovers. The 19 defense was a great defense. It was a very good defense. But again, look at his sack totals. How many guys had sacks in 19? Just curious. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 guys had sacks in that defense. And again, Juden led the way with 9.5, and was it Bowser had 5, and then you got a bunch of guys with 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1.5, 1.5, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1.5. So you can see he's not reliant on a one guy. He's not relying on a guy that's going to be, that showstopper. He's not relying on a Lawrence Taylor. He's not relying on a Michael Strahan. He's not relying on a Sam Huff. He's not relying on a guy like that. He's relying on a collective of players that come here and play consistently and play well. And I think that's the way that's the way we're going to see this defense run. And that's the way it's going to work. Now, the only thing that concerns me is the fact that he is heavily reliant on his corners and his safeties. You had Humphrey. Marlon Humphrey was a Pro Bowler in 19, which was the starting left corner. You had Marcus Peters on that team as well, which was also a Pro Bowler. You had Earl Thomas. So he had a secondary. He had a well-fortified secondary that allowed him to create these blitz packages. And I think that's what we need to look at. We don't need to look at the linebackers. We don't need to look at the defensive ends. We don't need to look at the edge. We don't need to look at the nose tackle as much as I think we need to look at not only, I think the secondary, if you take a look, like I said, if you take a look at this defense, is going to be the key. I mean, we don't have an Earl Thomas on this team. Let's be honest. We don't have it. We have Xavier McKinney, who I think is going to be an outstanding professional, an outstanding pro, but we don't have a Marlon Humphrey on this team. We don't. Who actually had 82 tackles and a sack and 2.5 sacks going on. I mean, excuse me, back. I'm looking at his 2020 season. So he had another Pro Bowl season. We don't have that guy. And this is what concerns me. If you look at the way the Giants roster is currently constructed in the secondary. Now, we all know that Logan Ryan's going to be gone. There's no doubt, I think, in anyone's mind that Logan Ryan's is going to be taking a trip, hopefully not over to Philadelphia. I mean, I think that's my that if I have one wish and a prayer, that he did not go to Philadelphia. And I'm hoping that he doesn't. But if you take a look at the Giants, the way they're currently constructed in the cornerback situation, you got Rodarius Williams. You got the other Williams. You got Aaron Robinson. You got Adoree Jackson. You got Darnay Holmes. You got James Bradbury. And then, of course, we got the guys that we drafted. But that's not a secondary full of – those are your corners. Those are our corners. You lose Bradbury. You have Adoree Jackson, and then you have X. Because we don't know what that X is on the other side. Is it going to be Rodarius Williams? Could it be Aaron Robinson? You never know. It's a possibility, but are you confident enough to have them man or press coverage in an attacking style defense when you're going to probably be bringing an extra guy and you're not going to have over the top safety help? Does that fill you full of confidence? And then you look at the safeties. You got Julian Love, Xavier McKinney. Xavier McKinney. Those are your veterans. Those are your guys that you brought. Those are your stalwarts. And then, of course, you got Belton, who you signed, who you hope is going to be something. The safety room is still very empty. I love it because you got Xavier McKinney and Julian Love basically staring at themselves from across the room going, hello. I mean, I think that's what they're doing right now. We need reliable. This defense needs reliable safeties and reliable corners. Now, if you take a look at the other components, you're probably going to be in good shape. Hopefully you are good on the defensive line with Dexter Lawrence. You got Moa still on the team. You got Williams. People forget about Justin Ellis, which I think is a great pickup for the Giants as well. You also picked up the kid that we just drafted. So, I think the line, the interior of the line is going to be fine. And I think your outside edge position is going to now be fine, especially since we just picked up Kayvon Thibodeaux. So I don't have an issue with that. I think our linebackers are still a little bit suspect. But again, like I said, he is going to create in a multitude of ways. You keep forgetting that Oshane Ximines is still on this team. You got Ward. You got Smith, who hopefully is going to come back and do something in his second season. You got Quincy Roche, which I think is actually going to be a great combination with Azeez Ojulari and Kayvon Thibodeaux. You got Blake Martinez coming off the injury. I believe Nico is still on the team. You got Justin Hillard still on the roster. Trenton Harris. I like Trenton Harris a lot. I hope Trenton Harris has the ability to come in and do something, or given the opportunity. You got Tate Crowder, and I've said this before. I love Tate Crowder, but at 6'1", 235, he is not the guy I want man in the middle. He's not the guy I want in a 3-4 defense where he's going to have to be the stout run stopper. He doesn't have the size. He doesn't have the speed. I don't think he has the instincts. I think he's better suited playing on the outside position and working a little bit more in pass coverage. And you have Carter Coughlin, who I hope Carter Coughlin gets a chance this year. Everyone had high expectations for Carter Coughlin last year, and he was kind of a lost man. So, I mean, he showed something in that Seattle game and a couple other games at the end of the season back in 2020, but he hasn't done anything since. I jokingly say he got hurt falling off the bench last year. I think at one point he sprained the ankle. I think it was when he fell off the bench. You also still have TJ Brunson on the roster. You still have Cam Brown. We got a lot of linebackers to get rid of. We got a lot of linebackers to go through and probably move on from. But like I said, I am not worried about the front seven. I think he's got enough mix and match pieces that he can use to create the mismatches that he wants to generate a specific pass rush. I still worry about the secondary. And like I said, if you subtract Bradbury, that would be basically taking away Marlon Humphrey from his secondary. That's basically what it's going to be like. And we don't, and is Adoree Jackson as good as Marcus Peters? I don't think so. We have to wait and see because, like I said, I was not impressed. Nobody was impressed for more than half the season with Adoree Jackson. He started playing well towards the end, but nobody was impressed. No one thought it was worth the money. But we have to kind of wait. We have to just kind of wait and see. And one of the things that everyone overlooks about Wink's defense has always been stout against the run. He's always had a stout run defense. He really has. Everyone wants to talk about his aggressiveness in the blitzing, but he's always been a guy that had usually one of the best units against the run because they know how to play their assignment. They know how to fill their gaps.
That's what she said.
They know exactly what they're doing on the field. And like I said, I am excited to see what this defense can do. I'm happy to see what this defense can do. I am extremely concerned about the secondary in this defense. I'm not concerned about the front seven, but I am concerned about, can this secondary hold up against what he wants to do? Because like I said, we don't have a Marlon Humphreys and we don't have Marcus Peters on the manning the corners. And we don't have that. I don't want to say we don't have it yet, but we don't have that thumper in the safety yet. They had Elliott, the last couple of years also with Baltimore, but I mean, like I said, we have to wait and see. We have to wait and see. And is Xavier McKinney as good as Chuck Clark? I think Chuck Clark right now is ahead of Xavier McKinney, but I think Xavier McKinney can turn around and do more over a period of time. But if you're looking at the pieces, you have to sit there and say the secondary is a concern. The front seven is probably not going to be. So I do think that he can. I do think he can run his defense. I do think, but like I said, it's going to be dicey at times in the secondary unless someone really steps up. I keep seeing things on Twitter and people keeping adding me at Twitter, wherever the hell that's called when you put the ampersand or whatever the freaking. I don't get Twitter still to this day about giant content creators feuding, and I love it because it's finally not me. It's finally not me in the middle of something. That always makes me happy. And I guess the feud is about. I don't know exactly because I don't know how to read the. I don't know how to read the comments that are attached to the original comment. But I guess it has something to do with people thinking people are stealing other people's material. I've said this a million times. There's only so much that you could do as a content creator for the Giants on YouTube. There's only so many topics. There's only so many ideas. There's only so much you can speak about. That there is going to be overlap of content and ideas. I don't think, and maybe they are, but I don't think the majority of people are like, I'm going to go steal some shit from somebody else and call it my own. I don't see that. I don't buy it. And I have feuds with other content creators, and you know what? I always think they're silly feuds because of the fact that, like, look at me and OGR Sports. We hated each other. Couldn't stand each other. We said some nasty things about each other. You know what? Now we're buddies. Now we're friends. Now we're doing podcasts again. Now I text OGR. just to see what's going on. Why? Because of the fact that it's all that it's just stupid. It's just moronic. And it's not against someone personal as a person. And sometimes I think that's what people take it as. They take it as it's personal. It's not. Bad Dog and myself on multitudes of occasions have put out the same content, sometimes within seconds of each other. And I don't sit there and say, oh, he stole my idea. And I know he's probably not, because we talked about it, we joked about it. He's not sitting there saying, well, Tim stole my idea. I always joke that when certain times we share the same brain. And someone asked me the other day, because Bad Dog did a video about Baker Mayfield, like right after my Baker Mayfield video. And I guess he used a similar picture. And someone was like, he stole your idea. I said, no, he didn't steal my idea. It was his turn to use the brain today, because we had the shared brain. So give peace a chance, man. I love being the I love when it's not me. It's always good because I don't break the news to people. It's usually me. I'm usually the one that causes the problems. But in some ways, people just need to grow up. It's not. I don't think it's anything ever personal, and I don't think it's. I don't think people are sitting there going, I'm going to steal his idea and claim it as my own. There's just so much to talk about in such a small amount of space for one team. It's gonna happen. Oh, there's going to be no videos, I think, this weekend, because you know what? It's Mother's Day weekend, and we're going to have a full house here at the online Big Blue Casa. So I hope everyone has a great, safe weekend. We might have a video on Saturday. I haven't decided yet. And again, this is Tim of the Online Big Blue, bringing you the best of New York Giants sports talk entertainment. And as always, if you could like, give me subscribe. If you ring that bell, you know what it means. That'd be awesome.